All right, how's it going, everybody? It is June 19, 2026, and we're going to continue to work on Simulation today. I'm going to pull up the terminal, navigate to the directory where the project lives. We're going to get our Claude agent up and running. There it is. Alright, so what are we doing today? Well, we're working on our Phase B implementation. So we had worked on Phase 7A yesterday. So now it's time to work on Phase 7B. Alright, so I've got my Perplexity agent up that I am using to assist with my prompting for the Claude CLI. So I'm going to tell it that it's picking up active development on our project and that we're going to work on implementing Phase 7B. Now, just to recap what Phase 7B is, I'm going to go to my architecture review document. Pull that up, navigate to the Phase 7B, which is where RSS stands for Really Simple Syndication. It is a web technology that allows you to automatically receive the latest content from your favorite websites, blogs, and podcasts in one centralized place without having to manually visit each individual site. So Phase 7B is...
What's your magic?
Man, we're already getting ads on this Spotify. So really simple syndication. Really simple syndication. Syndication means the process of distributing media content, products, or financial investments to multiple outlets, platforms, or investors simultaneously. So really simple syndication feed URL input is what this Phase 7B is all about, which is going to allow users to subscribe to any podcast by pasting its RSS feed URL directly in the app. So RSS feed URL, there's a website called RSS. Find your podcast RSS feed. So here is that website. And let's think of a podcast. Let's type in health. All right, there's a bunch of different podcasts here. Let's type in motivation. Motivational speeches, daily motivation. Let's type in David Goggins. I think those are his. I don't know. Who else? Elliot Hulse. He doesn't have a podcast. That's surprising. Let's see. Jocko podcast. All right, so I think you get the point here. This is the place where you get the URL. So let me just do philosophy. The philosophy podcast. Is there a philosophy podcast? What about quantum? Quantum computing. What about encryption or post-quantum cryptography? The post-quantum world. The post-quantum world. Post-quantum cryptography. There we go. All right, so you copy the feed. Boom, there you go. So basically, this feature that I'm implementing is going to allow users to come here. I'm not sure if there's other places where you can get these URLs. There might be a URL embedded in the description of the podcast that you listen to. So if you listen to podcasts on Apple Podcasts or maybe even Spotify, I'm not sure if the description has the RSS feed. All right. I heard myself talking in the background, and I just saw that I had my stream open in another tab, so I've got that resolved. So let's go ahead and move on. I've got too many tabs open. All right, so we're picking up where we left off. We're prompting Claude to pick up where we left off, which was implementation of Phase 7B. So basically, Phase 7B is going to be allowing users to subscribe to any podcast by pasting its RSS feed URL directly in the application. This is supposed to be a low-effort entry point that reuses the full podcast repository pipeline that we built in the last phase implementation, which was 7A. And it serves as a foundation for the discovery user interface in 7C, which is going to be Phase 7C has 2 parallel tracks, podcast discovery user interface, and we're going to also integrate the LibriVox audiobook integration. Now, LibriVox is a massive volunteer-run digital library that offers completely free audiobooks of books in the public domain. Anyone in the world can listen to these recordings or volunteer to read and record chapters of classic literature, poetry, and nonfiction. 100% free and open. So that's what we're using for our audiobooks section of the player card that will be playing spoken content. So in our spoken content player card, a user can select audiobooks, they can select podcasts, they can also select presentations, which would be things like TED Talks or lectures, and that kind of content, which is a little bit less formalized. So working on that aspect is something that I haven't created a implementation plan for yet. But if I can at least get the audiobooks and the podcasts on there, I think that'll be a huge step forward. And then working on the presentations aspect of the spoken audio player card, we'll sort of follow. I do want to see LibriVox's website if they have one. Free public domain audiobooks. Read, listen. Let's go to read. How do I search? So I can search by title. All right, so we got a bunch of books in here. Search by author. Let's think of a book here. Any books that come to mind? What's that book by Orwell? Let's just type Orwell. George Orwell. 0 books in here. Oh, wait. Kitchener. In Librivox's Most Wanted Poetry Collection. So, I guess here's poetry by George Orwell. What about Hemingway? I feel like there might be 2 M's. Hemingway.
Gather all summer long with savings
Man,
from
these
Whole Foods
ads.
Market with yellow.
All right. Yeah, there's a couple in here by Hemingway. What about Jocko? I don't think Jocko Willink would post anything in here. What about Elliot Hulse? No. What are some popular books in LibriVox? So I want to see if this is actually practical. Are any of the books that are in this library something that people are going to want to actually look up? Anything new and modern, not these really old books, which is fine. Okay, Plato's Republic is in there. The Art of War by Sun Tzu's in there. The Outline of Philosophy by Bertrand Russell's in there. LibriVox itself is almost all older works, but there are some more modern feeling options and also a hard limit on how new it can get because of copyright. I don't know any of those. What about like personal development? Because that's something that I initially thought this application would be used for in a lot of instances. So I guess let's type self-help. James Allen. What I Believe by Bertrand Russell. I'm trying to go back. It's not letting me go back. LibriVox. Let's go to listen. And let's type Bertrand America. Letter from Bertrand Russell, America. Fake Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell. So I have to download it. I wish I could just play it right away. So I'm really not entirely sure how this is going to work, how we're going to integrate this. But I'm not quite at that phase yet. Let me just click any random audiobook. Gilbert Arthur A. Beckett. I could download it. I don't want to download it. All right, I think we're ready to go with implementing and asking Claude to do so. So we're gonna add a feed URL input user interface in, should it be in the library or should it be in the settings? Interesting. I'm not quite sure about that. Let's take a look at the current user interface. So I'm gonna go ahead and launch an instance of Simulison. There it is. Okay, so the idea here is integrating some kind of entry point for a user to say that they want to listen to this stream. Right now, I'm not really too interested long term in having this be a functionality. Like at some point, I'd rather just have a dictionary that a user can look up all possible books rather than having to go and grab a URL and then paste it in order to get access to the podcast that they want to listen to. But to be honest, I think incorporating that right now is somewhat appropriate just because of how early we are in developing this application, and having a dictionary is going to require a little bit more complexity. So I'd rather just give users the option right now to be able to grab a podcast that they like via the URL and enter it in and then get access to it. And then while I'm working on integrating a dictionary into the user interface, some kind of way to navigate through the libraries, because I would say that the library we have for this right now is very limited. It's very difficult to be able to just dump a whole bunch of episodes, authors, all that kind of information in this current interface. So I'm just going to add a way for users to use that URL, get access to the audio podcast, whatever. And then as I continue to develop the interface and incorporate a dictionary component, I'll push that at some point when it's released. But I want to just go ahead and give users the ability to copy and paste a podcast URL. So that's what we're doing. That's my justification for right now. I'm always so nervous to ask Claude to just start working on stuff without me really understanding what's going on. Alright, so we're gonna ask Claude to go ahead and get started. I'm asking Perplexity, provide me the prompt to start Claude, or to get Claude to start working on this. So, hey Claude bot. You are picking up active development on Simulisten. Implement phase 7B, RSS feed URL input exactly as specified below. See, here's the thing though, is that all files are in Okay, so the reason I pulled this up is so I think adding it in settings, or should I add it in podcasts? I just don't know where it's going to fit right now. So perhaps I should move it to settings. I'm not sure if I want to put this feature in the library view because of how limited the current space is. So I feel like adding it to the settings view for now could be an option. But I much prefer adding it to the library view. Under the podcasts tab. I'm not sure if I want to put this feature in library view because of how limited the current implementation is. I'm not sure if I want to put this feature in the library view because of how limited the current space is on the UI. So I feel like adding it to the settings view for now could be an option, but I much prefer adding it to the library view under podcast tab. What do you think? Okay, so it's agreeing with me that putting it in the library under the podcast chip, not settings, would be better. Why the library view wins: it is where the user already is. The entire workflow is browse podcast, notice the show is missing, and then add it, see it appear immediately. If the entry point is in settings, the user has to leave library, navigate to settings, add the feed, go back to library, re-navigate to podcast. I agree. Recommended final layout. So user goes to library, selects podcasts, and then they hit a plus button. Okay, like some kind of small little plus button might be okay. Yeah, alright, that's fine. Provide a prompt for me to instruct. I gotta get used to doing this dictation. Provide a prompt that I can give to Claude CLI so that it makes these accurately. So it makes these changes accurately. Keep in mind that Claude CLI can already see the entire repository. Since Claude can already see the entire repository, the prompt can be lean. No need to paste file contents or re-explain the architecture. Read these files before anything. So I'm wondering if it's just creating this out of nowhere, or if it's giving me these recommendations because of the connection that I have to the architecture review document and the implementation plan for each phase. So it's going to create a new Swift file.
Saved hundreds on my car insurance. Really smart. Unfortunate.
So it's going to create a new Swift file called Podcast Subscription Manager. It's going to have these components in it. No playback imports. Foundation and combine only. It's going to also create Podcast Subscriptions View. So we'll have a new view that comes up when you hit the plus button. It's going to make a modification to the current library content view file. It's going to modify the settings view. It's going to add a variable for subscription managing. I'm curious what that'll look like. And then it's going to update the content view. Do not touch these files. All right, I believe that's good. So let's go ahead and let Claude start cooking. Let's delete this input. Typing things is overrated. You're either copying and pasting or you're dictating. All right, so while Claude is cooking, I'm going to do a little investigation here. And I want to look up some of the music sources that I'll be using, which are apparently non-copyright sources. And let's see, dig.cc Mixter. Dig CC Mixter, music discovery site operated by Artist Tech Media, founded by Creative Commons. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Featured free music. I'm going to pause Spotify and see if we can listen. Stefan Kartenberg.
The light under bus stop glass, a hush before admission, rain tips on metal rims. You come like faith that found its feet, the glimmer caught in breath and heat. The quiet leaves a tempered glow where all my borders used to go. Each breath a vow I never planned, each look a mercy from your hand. You read the hairline cracks I hide and whisper, stain me clean inside. Still the undertow beneath pulls the soul through loss and sleep. Every promise tastes of dust. I follow because I must.
So it's a pretty good song, but we can't use it because it has lyrics. All right, this is loud. This is. I hope that it's not coming out terribly on the other side. Some of these are pretty good. All right, so imagine this is the background, and we're going to go ahead and play one of these podcasts.
Because his motives were themselves unusual. Quote, there's a deeply religious aspect to AGI, Gavin explained to me later. It's really finding God's algorithm. I think it would seem, at least, chatting with people in Silicon Valley, that there are some who take it even further.
I'm not
Maybe
sure
this is how
if,
we find God. Maybe this is how we actually
like the
elicit
volume
the
levels
second
from
coming. I
playing
mean,
it on
there's a
the
lot
web
there.
application
I'm
for
just
this, like,
wondering
website.
to what
It's
extent
just max
this has
volume. I
popped
don't
up
think I have
in
a
your
way of
research,
adjusting
whether it's
the
reflected
volume.
in the book
It just
or
plays
not.
like at maximum.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think there's one
I can't
basic
really
thing going on here,
fiddle
and I'm
around
going to
with
take
it
a
too
slight
much.
detour, but it answers your
Of course.
question.
Sure.
What we're dealing with,
So let's see how Claude's doing. I'm really excited to be able to get to the part where I implement these music APIs. One of them is this CC Mixer, Dig CC Mixer. And I think there's another one that I was looking at. Internet Archive Net Labels is, I think, another one. What is this site? Does it provide music? Backtrack. The Art of Realistics. Digital only labels in the releases, and yes, it provides access to a lot of free music downloads and releases. Help me find instrumental music on here and see what kind of catalog they have. Most of the catalog here is already instrumental heavy, but you can bias toward instrumental stuff by starting with certain. Yeah, but navigate for me. Allow. So it looks like I have one person watching the stream right now. I just want to say hello to whoever you are out there. It could be me on my other YouTube account. So if it's someone else, I appreciate you tuning in. All right, so our Claude agent is still running and gunning. All right. Net label archive. It looks like Perplexity was able to navigate to Monotonic, Dreamfish Hollywood, Time Slip, Who Crushed Reality Mix. Ooh. Is there like a way to play it? Or do I have to download it? I guess I have to download it. Oh, goodness, it's a zip file, so there's probably a bunch of files in there. Okay, let's unzip it. Let's just do this. Okay. MP3. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
The motherfucking saga continues.
Okay, there goes some profanity. Yeah, that's not really. I mean, maybe that's somebody's preference. Like, maybe they want to listen to that while listening to Ernest Hemingway. I don't know. And that's not really an instrumental track because obviously there's someone talking. So this track sucks. It literally has someone talking in the audio. I need purely instrumental. Let's go for something ambient and softer to act as background music while reading. Monotonic has 500 releases apparently. Planet Bolex. Misplaced episode. All right, let's see what that's about. Okay, we've got 2 people watching in the stream according to my YouTube. So, what's up, people? Drop a comment. Let me know you're real. Let me know you're not AI. Would love to hear from you in the chat. I understand if that's asking for too much, but one of my goals is to be able to have an actual active chat. That'd be really cool. I'd like to experience that. So right now I'm looking for, I'm looking at sources that I'm able to stream non-copyrighted material that allows me the ability to monetize my software utilizing these non-copyrighted sources. This is another monotonic. This is a little better. A little better.
Oh boy.
And where they were approaching it, it just felt like it wasn't going to be quite right. So he resisted. Uber came to him before Travis was the seed.
This is like a programming coding type of song. Inspirational speech video from movie No Music. Alright, let's see if this goes well.
I'm trying to build people up. I'm trying to armor their mind. I'm trying to get them to believe. Because this world we live in is tough. It's tough. It will beat you down. The world and the life that we live in is the ultimate competitor.
This is okay.
It will try to take you out. It will find your weakness and it will fucking just hammer you.
It's not bad. So these libraries have potential. There's some potential in some of these libraries. I mean, I've only looked at 2 tracks. I could just play these tracks instead of playing Spotify, which keeps playing ads all the time. So I feel like I need to make some adjustments to the naming convention of these videos because right now I don't share how many users I currently have. And I feel like it might be helpful to me and others who are interested in seeing this journey, how many users that I'm accumulating over time. Alright, so Claude successfully completed that implementation. Phase 7B sounds like it is in great shape, and the implementation that's described fits very cleanly with the architecture we've been building towards. What we've effectively achieved. I'm getting all mixed up with these tabs. I'm just closing out of all these tabs. What in the world? It's like I lost the thread I was working on. Minutes ago. I posted that in the wrong thread. No, you're good. How's it going? I don't have a question from you. I just see you said good evening. But go ahead and ask a question. I don't know if I have an answer you're looking for, but I'll do my best. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and paste this response from Claude CLI into my Perplexity here. Alright, I have been experiencing a multitude of various issues with my entire life being seemingly under constant observation. Observation in terms of from what? I think sometimes I'm being observed like by my social media, you know. I'm not sure which direction you're trying to take it, like what or who is observing you constantly? Do you do streaming? Are you on YouTube streaming? streaming. I'm trying to imagine every YouTube live stream. Imagine every app, every YouTube live stream. It's actual real people, and so the relationships that I have with real people. I honestly feel like the people that I know personally are so busy with things that they have going on. But I could imagine that people are curious and they want to look stuff up about people that they know, including me. And I'm sure it happens. But I haven't had like an active social media really ever. It's been a long time. But I imagine like having profiles, having a presence online definitely allows that observation to take place. Comments are real-time statements of my actions. That's interesting. And they're comments from people, like actual people commenting on other people's YouTube videos or live streams. Assuming that you're not live streaming, you don't have a live stream, but you're noticing comments. Where are these comments? Like in other videos, or are they on posts that you have on? Yeah, the internet is an interesting place, and the more we put ourselves on it, I suppose the more we're, exposing ourselves to this kind of phenomenon. That's why I have not really been super active on social media. I've always been super hesitant to start creating a presence for myself because of all of these kinds of things that take place. And it's really hard to know what it's like unless you're experiencing them yourself. Alright, so you're watching a tour video of someone walking around in a foreign country like China in a really busy area. I think I'm following. I gotcha. Yeah, that's neat to be able to see different kinds of places that you've never been to or may never have, the opportunity to go to. In the video, someone's saying your name. You notice someone saying your name in the video? Will they be live streamed videos, or will they be like videos that have already been posted and you're just watching it after a couple days or weeks? Yeah, that sounds like something that is beyond one's understanding. Like it's something that is beyond my ability, like, or yours. If that's happening to me, it would be beyond my understanding as to why that's happening. And I can imagine that sometimes is sort of like cunning, baffling. Why do you think this is happening? Do you think there's just like a reason or some kind of like higher purpose for this? So you hold up 3 fingers, and of course, they guessed the number perfectly. So you're holding up 3 fingers. Are these live streams, or are they videos that were already recorded and you're just watching them after they've been posted? I'm presuming that they're live streams and that they're happening in real time. I think that's what you mentioned earlier. Yeah, sometimes we don't know why things happen, you know, and I've heard people say things happen for a reason. And I've also heard people say that things happen the way that they're supposed to. All of those are comforting to some. Sometimes it's just we're going through something that's unsettling or doesn't make sense, and that can be, you know, only a unique experience to the individual experiencing it. And sometimes it's hard to find other people who can understand and appreciate that. But the simple fact is that we all kind of experience things that are so unique to us that it's hard to even get other people to comprehend what we're trying to communicate that's happening. You know why it's happening. Okay, well, hey, that's cool. That is cool. I think. Hopefully it's a good thing that you know the reason. Ah, man. Sorry to hear. Hopefully it's not like something that puts you in any kind of position that impacts safety. You know, hopefully there's some safety precautions that you can take. Not knowing what that reason is myself, but yeah, those kinds of relationships can be difficult to go through, especially with people that are close to us. In that way, especially. I wonder how you connect the dots between people that are close to you in terms of relationships, and then these events that are occurring to you as you know, like consume some content and you notice that these sort of synchronizations are happening in real time with respect to the media that you're watching, and how those correlate to those kinds of relationships. It's intriguing to ponder on why that connection exists between those two things, relationships, and then the subtle, nuanced events that occur as you're watching a video and holding up the number 3, and then something's mentioned about the number 3. I know that if you don't mind me asking you a question, what brought you to the stream here? Are you just kind of clicking around, or did you search up coding, live coding, or be curious to know? It is the intentional harm that they are doing, but I actually don't hurt from being targeted. I'm just a guy that doesn't have any reason for so many people to collaborate with each other. But so my question was, before I asked about the stream, my inquiry was about like the connection between these phenomenons that are occurring during your, watching videos, or the things that you notice that are happening in real time, and then the relationships that you have and how those things correlate. And so then you say it is the intentional harm that they are doing, so it's intentional, but I actually don't hurt from being targeted. I'm just somebody that doesn't have any reason for being targeted or intentionally harmed, or you don't have any reason for so many people to collaborate with each other. So people are collaborating with each other to target you. I'm actively fishing for knowledge as they use filters and titles of videos. Well, it's good to search for knowledge, right? And they're using filters and titles of videos to get to you. So they're like maybe aware that you're doing this, that you're searching for knowledge, and they're using these filters and titles of videos to get to you. I think I'm trying to piece the puzzle together. no way I am 100% adjusted to the odd and deceptive nature that your family has all of a sudden been exhibiting. Sometimes it's our family that can make us feel the most unsettled. I've met a lot of people who have varying relationships with family members, and some are very good relationships, and then some of them are just makes you really wonder how things such as family can impact our lives so strongly. Sometimes, our friends are the family. Sometimes our friends have to be the family that we choose. Our friends are the family that we choose. And sometimes it has to be that way for some people. And that's okay. Even with people who have good relationships with their family. Ultimately, our friends, the people we surround ourselves with, are the people who have the most influence on us in our lives. That's something that I've learned for sure, and I'm still learning, learning who to put myself around, what friends do I want to have in my life, because I don't see my family personally. I live relatively far away from most of my family, so yeah, I appreciate knowing that there's no bots, watching the stream. That's cool. I do appreciate that. I saw there was like a user or a viewer or two, and so I'm new to streaming, so I'm trying to just build the practice. I'm definitely not a subject matter expert. I just graduated with a degree in computer engineering and just recently, so I'm figuring out what, the career path looks like, and I've always had sort of a creative attitude and felt like I wanted to start working on a project, live streaming it, and seeing where that journey takes me. So I do appreciate you stopping by and making a comment. I'm glad that I was able to connect with you. Do you have any project experiences, things that you've worked on code related? Not knowing where you are in your coding journey, you could be a lot more proficient. Probably the odds that somebody is more proficient than me in coding is very strong, just because I have a severe case of imposter syndrome. I always feel like there's just so much information out there that I don't understand. I'm so overwhelmed by it. Alright, so we have finished with phase 7B. I am just going to commit the changes. iTunes directory search and LibriVox is next. So, I'm not sure we're allowed to use iTunes. Are we allowed to use iTunes? Does this conflict with our requirement of only streaming content that allows for dual audio playback? All good, man. I appreciate you just, participating in the chat here. Sort of selfishly, because I know that it probably does some good for the YouTube algorithm, not knowing too much about how it works. But have you watched any of the other live coding people? I remember seeing a couple of different YouTubers who are starting to stream their projects live, and a lot of them are on different days. I'm on day 5, so I feel like I'm fresh out of the gate. I'm curious what kind of programming projects you've worked on. What kind of tools have you worked on? Have you used any agents, Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT? Have you built any mobile apps or websites? Or is that something you'd like to get into? iTunes Search API is entirely a separate thing. The iTunes Search API is simply a podcast directory lookup. Okay. When a user taps a result, Simulisten saves the show. Okay. You're consuming metadata from Apple server, not audio. The dual stream restrictions only applies to audio providers. Okay. So, I think I'm good to work on that. I do want to double check, though, with the architecture review document. Alright, so we added a new podcast called Darknet Diaries. I've heard of that before. Let's go ahead and play that. Play that in the background here. Podcast, Darknet Diaries. Oh, that's terrific. These episodes come out nice and concise. And there's lots of episodes here. That's terrific. Okay. Let's see. I'm just gonna pick one at random. Cyber Eason. Mole rats in the cloud. Let's see.
Hey there. Did I surprise you? I release episodes of this show every other week. That's 2 episodes a month, right? So why do we have an episode here in the off week? Well, there's this company called
I can
Cyber
barely hear it.
who are big fans of this show, and they wanted to bring you an extra episode. So a deal was made. which means this entire episode is brought to you by Cyber Reason. I've never done anything like this before, and so I want to be clear. This episode is only here because Cyber Reason sponsored it. But I'm excited because it's a fantastic story that links back to one of my most popular episodes. You're going to hear from their CEO, who has quite the backstory. And later in the episode, we're going to hear a story from their threat research team, who investigates and uncovers malicious activity. And they'll tell us about a time when they found a threat actor lurking in someone's emails. They spent months tracking that threat actor, which they called mole rats in the cloud.
All right, so I'm playing an audio
These
track.
are true stories from the dark side of the internet.
I'm playing an audio track from the Darknet Diaries podcast. And the music that's playing in the background isn't coming from the app that I'm building. It's coming from the catalog that I'll eventually be streaming or sourcing into my application. And I'm just kind of testing out different tracks in the catalog. I haven't gotten to the phase where I start integrating the music source into my application yet, because I'm still working on other aspects of the application, but I am, I guess, just streaming this as background music for now.
I'm Jack Resider. This is Darknet Diaries.
Alright, come on. Get past the intro already.
This episode is sponsored by
There we go.
Delete Me. Have you ever thought, I should really be doing something to protect myself from stalkers, scammers, and hackers, but I'm not sure what? Here's what to do. Go to www.joindeleteme.com/dark-course.
So what makes them different? Rippling AI is built on your live global workforce data. It's one platform giving you one unified source of truth, with HR, IT, and finance connected from day one. This means they can operate with a...
All right, so these podcasts have these introductions, and they have these little music tracks that they play in their podcasts, and it's very, it's something that I'm going to have to try to overcome somehow, because it just basically makes the simulation experience distorted. So I'm not going to worry about that right now, but down the road, I definitely want to address that.
full context of your live business, surfacing insights and taking
the 8200 unit and not to do other things. I think that in a sense, they knew better than I am what I'm better at and direct me to this direction. I think that after all the tests that they did, they know you very well. I'm joking sometimes, and I'm saying probably they know you better than you know yourself.
So no matter what you're assigned to do in the Israeli military, you must first do basic training. You have to wear the military gear, do your push-ups and running, and learn how to use a weapon and that sort of thing. But once all that's done, he reported for duty with Unit 8200, which is sort of like Israeli's version of the NSA.
Back then, I did not knew that we're talking about the 8200 unit. It was super classified. This is before the days that you could read all about this unit on Wikipedia. I think that only a month after I joined the army, I realized that we're talking about this unit and kind of starting to understand what the unit is all about. This unit is basically focusing the field of signal intelligence.
So he joined Unit 8200 back in the late 90s? Yeah, it was a very secret organization back then. Not only did the world not know about it, but even people who worked in 8200 could not even tell their family what unit they were working in. And as a kid, Lior was fascinated with wireless technology and especially how cell phones work.
And for me, it was fascinating because it's like all those things that I was fascinated as a kid to really understand how things works and try to manipulate them. And suddenly there is kind of a full unit that's focusing on this field. And a very smart people and very creative. But the story is not ending there, it's just starting there. The unit have a very unique way to take people right out of high school and basically teach them all the things that they need to do in order to be an expert in something. And at the beginning you're not an expert, but you gain your knowledge. So in my case, it basically was 6 months of a very, very rigorous training that every week we were.
All right, so Phase 7B is complete. Users can subscribe to a podcast by pasting a raw RSS URL. That is terrific. Applause for myself. That's a big step forward. So now it's time to work on Phase 7C, where we add a search by name flow powered by the AI, or the I can't speak, the iTunes search API, so users can find shows without knowing their feed URL. So basically, there's not even going to be a need to retrieve a URL because we're going to be adding the iTunes search API, so users can find shows without knowing the feed URL. Okay, sure. The manual URL paste field from 7B stays as a permanent fallback. Okay, why not? It doesn't hurt anything for now. Okay, so new file. We're gonna have to create a new file called iTunes Search Repository. This will be a focused stateless struct for querying the iTunes podcast directory. Make some modifications. All right. Yeah, but I want you to give me a prompt. Give me a prompt. All right. Here's the prompt. It's a long prompt. So let's paste that and execute. Let's see if we can find a... Whoa, that was an accident. Let's see if we can find... Why am I messing up with my clicks? Let's see if we can find a different audio source. Search category. Alright, look at all these categories. This doesn't give me any like insight into what kind of genre they are. What kind of genre are these songs? Seamless Plastic. Alien Dance. Man, this might not be a good library to use. Gosh. These songs are just so janky. Find the most classical type of... I want to find music that is classical instrumental, not heavy electronic type of music that is too distracting. All right. And we've got Claude going. Claude is going.
Learning something different.
All right, I'm going to be right back.
In the end of this week,
I'm going to leave
you
this
need to have a test,
podcast playing for the time being and let Claude
home.
Code
If not, you
cook.
stay and you need to pass the test. There is no
I'll be right
option
back.
not to pass it. You ended up to have kind of a very, very large understanding and knowledge when it comes to technology. Everything from, how cellular network works, how the internet works, how computer works, and what do you need to know in order to write a Python script, write code, and so on and so forth.
He can't go into specifics about what he did there. But what's public knowledge about Unit 8200 is that they're the signals intelligence branch of the Israeli military. So they're code makers and code breakers. And in the modern era, they're using computers and technology to collect intelligence, which sometimes means hacking into the adversary. Lior was part of an advanced persistent threat, or nation-state actor, And from the inside, he was learning a lot about how cyber attacks work. He spent 6 years in Unit 8200. The requirement is only to stay like a year or two, but Lior was really into it, so he stayed longer. He was promoted to officer and even captain before leaving.
The 8200, that was kind of the beginning of my careers. So after 6 years in the army, I went to the university. And over there, it's kind of in the reverse order. You're getting your knowledge or the theoretical knowledge that you need, but probably you already know the majority of it because of your hands-on experience.
From there, he got a job at a tech startup, which got bought out by a larger company.
And then basically I established my own company. This company eventually was a company that focused in the field of hacking, cracking, reverse engineering, you name it. And eventually this company was providing services to different government agencies.
This company would provide services for intelligence agencies in Israel. And so Lior got to work with some pretty secret and classified missions there, learning advanced ways to hack, crack, reverse engineer, and more, and providing these services to intelligence agencies.
So the work that we used to do is, sometimes I'm joking about it, is take things that by definition that they are impossible and make them possible. Usually what's happening, you have a mission that you need to get information, or you need to manipulate information, or you need to gain access to a specific type of knowledge. And in order to get it, first you have to understand where these knowledges exist. But then once you understand that thing, you have to plan and execute an operation, basically soup to nuts. For example, you will have a team that focus in the deception, meaning that if you want to go into an asset and collect information, but you know that they are going to protect themselves very good.
Okay, I find this interesting. When hackers use deception as part of their methods, Lior's team had a mission to get into someone's computer, but if he just launches an attack from his office, that can easily be traced back to him, so he doesn't want to do that. The target can't know who he is, so he has to be tricky. And one way to be deceptive is to get his team to distract the target.
Let's say that they're doing a massive DDoS attack on them. They will think that this is what's happening, but on the back end of this DDoS attack,
All right, so it looks like that phase 7C is completed. So we're going to paste that response into our Perplexity assistant. This is royalty-free music. All right, clean implementation. The architects held exactly as designed. The iTunes path just feeds a title string into the same app podcast feed flow. No new playback surface touched. Run the app and confirm before closing out phase 7C. All right, so let's close the instance and we'll run a new instance. All right, we've installed Simulisten. Now it's launching. All right, so we're going to go to the library. It's frozen. All right. It's thinking. Still thinking. Let's try to open it again. All right. Go to library. Let's go to podcasts. Antenna button. Sheet opens on search section. Search podcast. Type serial. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. This is absolutely excellent. Let's add serial. Okay, look at that. We've got serial. Let's go ahead and hit done. Add it to our player card. Navigate to podcasts. And select Serial by Serial Productions. And we've got all these episodes. Let's click this one called The Idiot.
This podcast is supported by BetterHelp. Summer can feel like a sprint. Kids home, trips to plan, routines flipped upside down. It's
Yes,
easy to
this
slip into
is
survival mode,
fantastic.
just trying to get through it. Then suddenly, it's over, and you're wishing you enjoyed the days.
This is a huge jump from when I first started this application. This is cool. I don't know how I'm supposed to delete this though if I don't want it anymore. Is there a way to delete the? Oh yeah, you just okay. Nice little swipe feature here. Ha, that's cool. So if I go back to the player card.
Just a little bit more. Therapy can help you slow down.
Okay, so it's still streaming it. Even though it's not there anymore. So that's a bug. Alright, because if I delete it, then I don't want it there anymore. The search feature successfully found serial podcasts, and I added one of those podcasts and then verified that the player card was able to play one of the episodes I selected. However, when I went back to the podcast ad view and deleted the RSS URL that was added, it still shows in the player card. And I feel like if I delete it from the view that is in library under the antenna podcast feeds, then it should completely depopulate from the player card, but it is still showing up in the podcast's player card. Well, no, it's not actually anymore. After I went to the audiobooks player card and then back to podcast player card, the podcast player card refreshed And now I do not see the serial podcast that I added initially. So it works, but I have to go to a different player card and then back to the original player card, which was podcasts. So it's not like a huge issue. All right, so we're going to fix the stale player card after podcast feed removal. Let's see if we can find a Jocko podcast. I don't know why I keep thinking of Jocko, but there it is, Jocko podcast. There he is.
This is Jocko Podcast number 545 with Kerry Helton and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Kerry.
Good evening.
At just day 1, there were heat and stomach problems. Day 3 brought foot pain intense enough that he said he cried. And by day 4, he had logged 150 miles on very little sleep. Later, he wrote about blisters, nerve pain, and the strange mental grind of repeating this.
All right, so we added a podcast. Now let's say I want to unadd it. Yeah, see, I shouldn't have to, like, unclick this button. If I delete it, it should just be deleted. All right, so if I add it here, then it populates. I should be able to go to delete back, but it's still here.
This is Jocko Podcast number 5.
And it's still playing.
This is Jocko Podcast number 543 with Echo Charles and me.
And I can still access all of the different episodes.
This is the Jocko Underground Podcast number 250.
So it's like a very small thing. Right? It's like a very small, not a huge deal. So far I consider it a huge success. We're just gonna fine tune it a little bit. And so this is phase 7C. No. This is phase... No, it is phase 7C, which has 2 parts. It has podcast discovery user interface, and then it has LibriVox audiobook integration. And so once I finish the audiobook integration, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm already getting tired. I'm like ready to wrap things up. We've been going for about 90 minutes. And I'm getting tired. How difficult is this modification? Fix a stale player card after podcast feed removal in Simulison. And I guess the next phase should be music integration, but I'm a little worried about doing that because, see, like podcasts and audiobooks is one thing, but the music that I make available to the users is really important to have options that offer a wide variety, but also are just good background tracks. I don't want to have like way too many options that are just not good. Like anything with lyrics, like an actual song, is not a good option because you can't listen to something that has lyrics and listen to an audiobook or a podcast and actually be able to focus on the audiobook or podcast. I mean, most research would suggest that is sort of my hypothesis, and I'm just going to go with that assumption. All right, so let's close the app. We'll remove it, and we'll rebuild it. Well, that was fast. Now, let's find a podcast. Let's see, what's a good podcast? Let me see if... Yeah. Andrew. Let's pull up Andrew Evans' podcast.
The answer was just, in a way, to me, it was obvious, which was there's one group of people that has superhuman bone density. Only one. And the reason is obvious. It's gymnasts, and it's because of the way they hit the ground, or should I say the velocity and power at which they hit the ground. Sometimes they absorb 10 times their body weight, sometimes even more. So they're getting very powerful stimulus in very specific positions. You know, by the way, like nobody squats 10 times their body weight, but a gymnast doing a dismount from the uneven bars will get right around 10 times their body weight every single time. So this is the powerful stimulus. This is what people adapt from, and I want to see if I can apply that logic in a safer manner. Because, you know, I'm not going to tell my mom, who was in her late 70s at the time, just sign up for gymnastics. Can't say that to a woman in her 70s. So I developed some prototypes. Objective was to create impact-like forces in the impact-ready range. So, like, impact-ready range is like right about here.
I added a podcast, then deleted it from the podcast feed while it was playing, and then the player cards went to the default state where it says no content selected, and I was unable to but the podcast was still playing even after I deleted it and after it depopulated from the podcast player card. The only way to pause it was to select the pause button that is on the mini player view. So this is expected and correct behavior, actually, but it's worth understanding. The fix could go in the wrong direction if misunderstood. Yeah, it should stop playback on feed removal, right? I mean, otherwise there's just no way to scroll the player card because it's removed from the player card. Stop on removal, it's more aggressive. Let it finish. No. Yeah, we want to go with option A. Fix a UX inconsistency. When a podcast feed is removed while one of its episodes is actively playing, stop the learning slot, playback immediately. That is correct. That is what we want. Ace Weekly, there he is, man. All right. Let's see who else has a podcast. PGA. No. Search a podcast by name across 4 million shows. So if you know somebody who has a podcast, you could just pull it up in here. I may want to work on LibriVox audiobooks in the next stream because I just feel like I've hit a stopping point. I am getting tired. Oh, that was fast. All right. I like when it goes fast. It gives me like this dopamine hit. Like, okay, if it's working fast, then I'll work fast too. Let's keep working. I could go a whole nother hour now. but I'm definitely not gonna do that. All right, so we're gonna rebuild this thing. Launch a new instance. All right, come on, let's work. All right, the app is up. Let's go ahead and test her out. Go to library, podcasts, tap the antenna button, and let's think of a podcast. David Goggins. Can't hurt me. We'll add both of these. Oh, it only registered the second click. What? Let's add another podcast. Emmett Fox. Alan Watts. Oh, this is great. This is a great category. So let's add both of those. Navigate to the podcast player card. And let's listen to some David Goggins.
Welcome to The Debate. You know, if you look at the dashboard of your car, there is a very specific, almost universal
The moment of
when
truth.
the fuel gauge hits E.
Deleting.
That little orange warning light illuminates on the dash.
Yes, it works. That is terrific. Terrific.
This up.
Cosmos, but really has nothing to do with this cosmos, but just arises in it and is here on sufferance for a short period and then absolutely nothing follows, you see. Or the alternative to that is what I really am, the same as the whole thing, that is the works, the it, or whatever you want to call it, Brahman, God, the Tao, the great void, the Buddha.
All right, that's terrific. We've made excellent progress. I mean, absolute excellent progress in just a very short period of time. So now, a few considerations that need to be made with regards to the architecture review document. The phase 7 ends after we add in the audiobooks, but it can't end there because we need to add music as well. But the concern that I have with music is that it's going to put in all of these options for all these different kinds of musics, which is good that users have all the available options as possible, but it will be saturated by so many it's going to be saturated by so many different audio files of music that just don't go well with listening to background music. And I mean, like, who am I to judge what somebody wants to listen as background music while they're listening to something else? But see, that's really where the rubber meets the road in this sort of design standpoint, is I have to make a decision regarding how much variety do I offer. Infinite variety? I just intuitively don't think infinite variety is the way to go. I think I need to make a decision for the users that basically gives them the most appropriate variety. And now that we have integrated the podcast non-copyright sources, and we are considering integrating the audiobook LibriVox source, I also want to consider music source integration that is non-copyright. The concern I have about music is that including all of the available options provided in these non-copyright music sources will give many inappropriate music options. Inappropriate music options include music that have lyrics and are inherently disruptive in nature. We are aiming for audio background music that harmonizes well with spoken form audio. And I am trying to think as a designer the best way to filter the music sources so that the user doesn't have to search through a library that is saturated with music that does not serve well as background music. What are your thoughts? CC licensed music catalogs are enormous and genre agnostic. A raw integration would surface death metal, rap, battle tracks, and pop songs with vocals right alongside ambient piano. All technically free to use, none of it is useful as spoken word backdrop. The right solution, curated at ingestion, not filtering at runtime. The architecture review already points to this direction. Manifest backend ingestion only for Incompetech, and use only items whose licenses are clearly CC/0 CC/BY. For Internet Archive, that language is deliberately restrictive. It means Simulation should not do a live API query and dump results into the library. It should maintain a hand-curated manifest of pre-approved tracks. This is the content manifest JSON pattern already in use. You extend that manifest with remote sourced entries rather than building a browse everything catalog. Curation criteria to apply at ingest time. When you or a curator evaluates a track for inclusion, it passes only if it meets all of these criterion: instrumental, consistent energy level, tempo under 100 beats per minute, no up-tempo dance or hype tracks, no dominant percussive hits, genre fits one of three buckets: ambient, focused, or lo-fi. Yeah, I mean, the genres can be more, can have a wider range. It doesn't need to be ambient or focus. I mean, I feel like that could be a little limiting. It could be classical. These are the categories users actually expect for background listening. I generally agree with most of what your response consists of. However, I want to mention that genre fitting one of three buckets is a little bit limiting. I'm open-minded to different kinds of genres that still fall within an appropriate background kind of fashion, such as classical, or it could be some kind of electronic but nothing too overpowering. It could be something that is just a different kind of background music that's used. Like Zach Hemsey is an artist, but we can't use his music directly. And other genres are also capable of fitting other than these three, is the point that I'm trying to make. And I think the reason why it's just choosing those ones is because of the way that I've set up the interface, because I only have like ambient, energetic hip-hop, but I just set those up while I was building this app because that was like the best that I can think of at the time. The 3-bucket model was too rigid. The right mental model is not a genre as a filter, it's acoustic properties as a filter. Genre is a proxy and a leaky one. The actual filter is acoustic behavior, not genre label. A track is appropriate for Simuluson's background layer if it behaves a certain way acoustically, regardless of what genre it comes from. No vocals or spoken word, doesn't demand active attention, consistent dynamic range, doesn't clash with speech frequencies. That's basically it. Everything else is stylistic preference. What this unlocks by genre. Okay. Cinematic, atmospheric, instrumental, but with real composition intent. That's good. Revised curation for criteria. A track is eligible for inclusion if it passes all 4 acoustic tests. No vocals, attention recessive. A listener focused on an audiobook should be able to sustain that focus with this track playing. If the track demands to be listened to on its own terms, it doesn't qualify. Consistent dynamics. No sudden volume spikes or dramatic drops that would pull attention. UI implication. This means that your music category chip should eventually reflect moods or energy levels rather than genre names. I agree. Alright, so we need to, with these considerations in mind, we need to work to commit the changes that we've already made, and then we need to prompt an update to the architecture review doc to include the information that we've discussed about the implementation of music sources, and also any other considerations that we've discussed about the development moving forward. Step 1, commit everything built tonight. Here's the full commit message covering all phase 7B. Yeah, we've already committed that. Phase 7C, track A. Git status, git add, git commit. Alright, prompt Claude CLI to update the architecture review document. Update to reflect all decisions made during phase 7B, C, track A, and the music curation design discussion. Read the entire file before making any decisions. Make the following targeted updates. Do not rewrite sections that are accurate, only add or amend. Update phase 7C status block. split into track A complete and track B planned with this content. Add a new section, music creation policy. Update. Yeah, but does this... For the phase implementation plan, did you provide any kind of phase that includes the music source integration? I appreciate that you included the music creation policy, but for phase 7C, it only discusses the podcast discovery and LibriVox audio book integration, but there is no phase C or phase 7D that talks about the music source integration. All right, so phase 7D will be remote music source integration. Expand the music library with curated tracks from approved royalty-free CCG licensed sources. All tracks must pass 4-test acoustic curation policy defined in before inclusion. Integration is manifest driven. No live catalog API dumps. Given this response, now I need you to provide me with the prompt for Claude CLI to update the architecture review, including the update to reflect all decisions made during phase 7B, 7C, track A, and music creation design discussion. Read the entire file before making any changes and everything that you included in that response before the one that you just gave. Update phase 7B status block. Change status from soon up next to checkmark complete. And replace the description with update phase 7C status block into split track A and complete and track B planned. Okay, do not change the date header or any other sections not listed above. Write the complete updated file back. Man, you know, I really would love to have the music sources integrated like right now. I'd love to just work on that, but I think this is a good stopping point. So next I'm going to work on integrating the audiobooks from LibriVox, and then I'm going to work on integrating the music sources. And then that'll be it for this evening. We've hit the 2-hour mark 8 minutes ago. So we're seeing some growth with the channel here. We've got a whole 15 subscribers. That's exciting. We've got that upward trend going on. We like to see that. Oh boy, did I just do that again? Oh, this audio stuff, man, and copyright. Oh, it's such a headache. And I'm pretty sure I just leaked it again. On accident. We'll deal with it later. I mean, if it comes up as an issue, then... Alright. So, I'm basically just streaming nothing right now. I'm just waiting for this Claude agent to finish updating the architecture review document. And in the meantime, I am checking my YouTube analytics to see how I'm progressing. And I'm definitely happy with the results that I'm seeing. I'm excited to be able to feel like I'm getting some traction, even if it's just a little bit. Working on some other things like video editing. I need to make some shorts. I made a short, like a super silly short, to be honest with you. Like, nothing that I think has any real value to anybody. It's just to feed into the algorithm that YouTube has to basically put my content out there. So maybe I'll make a video here soon, and I'll try to make some more shorts. Just try to get this channel to grow. So that's pretty much it for this episode here. I'll be doing another hardware hacking stream here really soon, so if you have any interest in checking that out, that's also something I'm working on. And I appreciate the opportunity to have like sort of a different kind of project that I'm able to stream. Just kind of awkwardly waiting here while this finishes now. I guess I could pull up my video editor while that's going and kind of play around with it. So if I go to, see, like a lot of my music that I've been playing is getting copyrighted by YouTube's system, so I'm trying to be a lot more cautious about all that. So like if I go to YouTube and I go to manage videos, your channel, manage videos, live, partially blocked. One of my videos got partially blocked in Russia. I don't know why. Alright, so my episode 11 of hacking hardware did not get blocked. I did include a music copyright. I don't know if I'm using that term correctly when I say copyright. Like, I got a music copyright. Like, I included the artist in the description because they basically said, you can use our music as long as you give us credit. So I've got this video here. From 0 to 1. And each of those transitions costs a bit of energy. More bits. So I think what I'll do is I'll just post like that as a video. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna download that video from YouTube. Download from YouTube. And then put it inside of the editor, video editor, and drag that thing down here. And then we'll go ahead and now we'll split the track. How do we split tracks? Split the track. Separate, split scene. No, is that it? Can I just drag this like that? Today we're going to be looking at the relationship between power and Hamming weight. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm going to make a video that I post that is from one of my live streams. Alright, looks like our architecture review document is complete. that's going to wrap it up for this evening. So thanks for tuning in. We'll have another stream coming up real soon because I am excited about what is to come, especially once we integrate the music and the audiobooks. That'll be fantastic. Okay, thanks guys. See ya.